You can start recording if it doesn't automatically.
Yeah, it looks like it automatically did it.
Okay, terrific. All right, welcome everybody. I can see people entering the room now. Good morning. Awesome, look at all this. Woo, we got students. After a summer of no students, it's so great to have students back on campus. So I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer while we get people kind of coming in virtually, and then we'll get going, but just hang tight and we'll be right with you. Brianna, is it recording?
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay. So for those of you just entering the room, we are going to record this so that we can post this on the biology website afterwards. So if you can hit continue to allow it to record, that would be lovely. And okay, it looks like our numbers are kind of stabilizing here, so that we have most of the people here who are going to be here right now. So good morning and welcome. It's almost time for the fall semester. And before we kind of launch into the orientation, I want to do a couple of introductions to get us going. And so I am Laura Burris. I'm the professor and chair of biology. And I'll let others introduce themselves as they come up on the list.
Sure. Hi, I'm Chris Moffat. I'm the Associate Chair of Biology. I advise in the physiology area primarily, but I also advise in other areas too.
Brianna?
Oh, it's me. Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna. You probably have heard from me multiple times already over the summer. I'm the biology undergraduate specialist. So I'm kind of your point of contact for any questions, and I can recommend you to different resources in biology and on campus.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madhu Nzaram. I'm a former SF State undergrad, and I'm a current master's student in cell and molecular biology. I did my undergrad also in biology with concentration physiology, and now I'm doing research as part of my master's.
All right, thank you everybody. And you'll notice that Blake Riggs has not yet joined us. Yesterday he was having rolling power outages that affected his ability to join us. So hopefully he'll be able to get in, but if not, we'll just proceed without him. And so the gist of today is that we're gonna have a couple of polls to check in with you. And then I'm gonna present just a little bit of basic information for about 10-15 minutes. And then we're gonna open it up mostly for questions and find out what you need to know to kind of get started and on the right path. This is, fall is always exciting for us to welcome in new students, but we have never done this virtually before. And so this is new for us, it's new for you. And what we'd like for you to end up with is this, you know, by the end of fall is a real sense of what it feels like to be a member of our community and to be fully connected to the biology department. And so, hopefully this orientation will help us all get off on the right foot, and we are here to help. So just to get going, we wanted to run a little poll about how you're feeling about the start of school. And so I'm gonna launch the poll, and you guys can hopefully weigh in here. I can show you in live time how people are feeling. And let's see, we got about 70% here. Oh, look at you. You are ready to roll. You guys have all done Zoom before. You know how to do this. Okay, so we got 86% of everybody voting. And so the majority, or the most, not a majority, but we got a few jitters out there. So makes total sense. Even I have a few jitters. And I've been around for a long time. So we got some very anxious, some pretty chill, and the few of just totally stoked, ready to go. I got this. So a wide range of how people are doing, and that's great. And so the next question I want to ask, if I can find it, let's see. I don't want to relaunch poll 1, I want to go poll 2. So one question I'm kind of curious about, because I know that most of, but not all of you will be from California. About half of you are from Northern California, half of you from Southern California. So I'm curious if you've ever visited the campus before, because here we are welcoming people to campus, and I wonder if you've ever been to the physical campus before. So go ahead and weigh in. Okay, great, thank you. And so when I share that, it's really about half and half. And so a good number of you have never been to campus before. And so what does it mean and what does it look like to start school on a campus that you've never been to? And so the first thing I want to show you is this is what our campus looks like. It's lovely. You're going to love it when you get here. And here is this avenue down here. If you can see my cursor, is 19th Avenue. It's a really busy street. There's a Muni stop, and a lot of people who take public transportation will be arriving right there. So in your mind, you just have to imagine yourself, you're on the Muni, you've been on the BART or the bus, and here you are arriving at campus. And the ocean's way out here, but not too far away, and Lake Merced is right across the street from campus. And so where is Hensel Hall? Where is biology? Where would you be coming if you were coming in real life? So the sciences are kind of over in this corner here, and Hensel Hall is right here and sits kind of a kitty corner to Thornton Hall, where a lot of the chemistry and physics and math are. So the majority of your classes would be probably in these 3 buildings. So the science building, Hensel Hall, and Thornton. And so here's Hensel, and a little bigger blow up of Hensel of what it looks like in person. So when you get here, you're like, oh yeah, I'm cool, I got this. Because someday it will happen, not this semester, but someday this will be over. And so the important thing about our campus, though, is not the physical location or the buildings. The really special thing about being at San Francisco State is you, the students. And now that you're one of our students, I can say without a doubt that we have some of the best students in California, or even in the country. We have amazing students. And so our students have gotten together and they have helped us generate a list of some tips for success. And so here's what they had to say when we asked our student leaders, what can we tell our incoming students that's going to really help them get ready to be successful as a biology major? And so first they said, find a good advisor. Absolutely. Today is advising day. So you're here in an orientation, which is great. We also have advisors today who are available all day long. And there's a list of those, and I'll give you the link later. But you can find an advisor today and throughout the fall. And so all you have to do is find the advisor, their office hours, their Zoom links, but it's super important to find a good advisor. Make friends in your classes and create lots of study groups. This is going to be different than attending class in person. We get that, but there's still ways to do that. A lot of our classes will have breakout rooms. You'll still be talking to people. Make sure to exchange your phone numbers, your information, and create groups that will help you connect to our campus and to our students. Don't be afraid to ask for help or resources when you need them. Talk to as many people as you can. There are many wonderful SFSU faculty members and resources available to students for a variety of needs on campus. And, you know, we're here and ready to support you. And so one thing I want to say about our campus is that faculty, and even me, the chair, I'm like, you know, I'm wearing a hoodie today. We're very approachable, and I think you're going to have I think you'll feel pretty quickly that there's a real sense of care in our community. And so please don't feel afraid to reach out and just ask questions. Don't be shy. It's a virtual world. It's hard to kind of feel into it sometimes and to feel connected. Again, just reach out if you need or want something. And here's what I really liked about this one. You never know how that one interaction may change your life. And so that's really critical, that things happen when you reach out. Another thing, so I said that one way to connect with people will be through breakout rooms and classes. So when you're in those breakout rooms, usually you'll be sent out with a question to discuss or something. In order for those rooms to work, people got to talk, and that's where the magic is. And when you talk to each other and articulate your ideas. So make sure that you participate in those breakout sessions and don't be a Zoom slacker, because it's super important to fully participate. Don't doubt yourself. So many people have come in, you've already accomplished so much and overcome many hurdles on your way to getting to San Francisco State. But we know that you can do it. We're here to support you in doing it, and don't be a doubter. And so here's one that's really critical. So it's great to plan out your classes for every semester and as much as you can. And so not to try and figure it out as you go. And so this is where an advisor can be super helpful, and we'll give you some links to kind of show you some possible four-year plans that you can slow down if you need to, if you're working a lot and that sort of thing. But it's great to have a plan so that you don't get up to that last semester and go, oh, I need to take this class, but it's not offered this semester, kind of thing. So we want you to meet with advisors pretty frequently, hopefully at least once a year, and to make sure that your plan is unfolding in a way that gets you where you want to be. Try to be comfortable with the fact that failure is a normal thing, especially in science, because I got to tell you, most experiments just don't work. It's the rare thing when it works. But failure is normal. It means that you're pushing yourself, you're challenging yourself, and you shouldn't let it define you. We know that you can bounce back from it. Don't give up. Try not to lose sight of your end goal. The first 2 years can be especially daunting, but don't forget about why you're pursuing higher education. Usually it's not for the degree, it's because there's some career that you feel really passionate about, that you want to aspire to become. And lastly, biology is beautiful. And sometimes we forget to realize that. I had a professional conference one year. I'm a developmental biologist, and people just sat around and talked about why embryos were so beautiful and so amazing. And so biology is beautiful. It's amazing and really stunning. And when I think about it, there's kind of no reason that it should work, but it does. And so grades are important. Yeah, lab work is important. But don't get so lost in grades and lab assignments that you forget to stop and enjoy the beauty of biology. And so it's the kind of wonder of it and the curiosity that we want you to hold on to. So how can we launch you to be successful? We said you need to find a good advisor. So how to find an advisor? There's 2 different types of advisors that you're going to want to visit with. The first type is to talk about your general education and university-wide requirements. And for that, you'll want to go to the College of Science and Engineering Student Success Center. We call it the CSSC, or the Student Success Center. Their website is here, and we will send these slides out to you afterwards and have them available on the biology website, so don't worry about copying it all down. But the website is here, and once you go there, there's a way to make a Zoom appointment to talk to an advisor. For biology advising, I've already mentioned today's advising day, and we've got hours all day long that advisors are ready to help out. And we also have a link for fall advising hours. So anytime you need to see an advisor, and we'd love for you to do that in the first couple of weeks, this is a great way to do that. How to get connected. So first of all, check your SFSU email account. We were having a hard time reaching out to some of you until we got your non-SFSU email account. So make sure you check your SFSU email, or you link it to your personal email account. So if you have a Gmail account, make sure that your SFSU email gets delivered there so that you're getting our messages. The department will send out a weekly newsletter called Bio News, and this will have things about scholarship opportunities, events, and things that you'll want to know about in the biology community. So do take a chance to look at that and see what's going on. Talk to your colleagues in class. This is super important. Make study groups. Find some buddies in your class. I can't emphasize enough that we have just the most terrific students, and I think you're really going to find some lifelong friends. And someday when you're old and in a rocking chair and say, yeah, I made my best friend on virtually during my first year of college at San Francisco State. Join clubs. We've got BSTEM, which is Black Excellence in STEM, and Madhu is a representative of BSTEM. And we have SACNAS, which is the Society for the Advancement of Chicano and Native American Scientists, although they are very inclusive in who they welcome into their group. And also check out the Student Enrichment Office and SF Build for funding opportunities. So those are just a few ways. What do you need to know for Monday? How to find your classes, right? And so first check that SFSU email address. You should have some messages from your instructors with Zoom links. If you don't, check your iLearn page, which is ilearn.sfsu.edu for specific information about courses. So iLearn, some of you may have used iLearn in high school, some of you may not. It's kind of like Google Classroom or Synergy or some of the types of platforms that people use. iLearn is your central course platform that all of your courses will be run through. So it's nice that there's just one platform, but that's going to be a place you're going to want to go really early. If you still can't find your class, just email your instructor. They'll be happy to send you a Zoom link. What happens if I tried to enroll in a class, I couldn't get in, I was over-enrolled? How do we call it crashing a class. And when we are there in person, people just walk in on the first day of class. But how do you walk in if you don't have the Zoom link? And so if you weren't able to enroll in a class you were hoping to take, then email the instructor for information about the ad process. And it's quite likely that they'll give you a Zoom link to attend the first day of class and to learn a little bit more about it. Okay, so I've got a whole slide here with some additional resources about places to go when you need help. We've got the biology website, which has a variety of things on it, and usually some of the most important are up on the front page. We have information about different biology concentrations and their requirements under this link. We have, many of you are going to be interested in pre-health careers. So we have an orientation for students considering careers in health professions that will be on September 8th. And Brianna will be emailing out more information about that. But do mark your calendars that we're going to have a pre-health orientation then. And then some of the other places that you might be wanting to get some information from include financial aid, the Dream Resource Center, and counseling and psych services, because we know that with coronavirus, with anti-Black racism, with a variety of things, people have a lot on their plates. The economy, fires right now, people have a ton on your plates. Do not be embarrassed or ashamed at any level to reach out to counseling services just to help kind of talk through some of what's going on for you. This is a big transition. There's already a lot going on in the world. Don't be shy about reaching out for help. And so with that, I'd like to, I don't know how that got there, ask what questions you have for us. And so there's I didn't mean to put this here, but we do have a news story about BioSlam up on the SF State News site about a project that we undertook over the summer to revise some of our lab curriculum. So we had to figure out how to run that remotely. But we'd like to invite you to either put in the Q&A, or you can even, let's see, Brianna, have we made it so they can talk? We can go through, maybe the panelists can go through the attendees list and make it so they're allowed to talk. Then you can raise your hand and we can, actually, just as you raise your hand, we'll allow you to talk and then we'll figure out how to do that. So we'll start off with the first question from the Q&A, and then I'll let the panelists weigh in. So it says, some of us are receiving unemployment benefits. So if we got extra money from the disbursements of financial aid, do we have to report it to unemployment benefits? Does any of our panelists know the answer to that?
No, this
I'm
would
gonna-
definitely be a good time, I think, to reach out to the financial aid office, which is in
Yeah.
your little resources slide.
I would say so too. I'm not sure about that. Thank you though. And so we have a question from, I can't see the whole name, Gabriel. It's a Gabriel Roldan. So if you'll unmute yourself, Gabriel, you can ask that question. Gabriel? Gabriel? Okay, his hand has gone down. Okay, so let's go back to the Q&A. How do we link our personal email to our SFSU email? That's a great question. And I think if you Google for SFSU and link personal email to SFSU email, you'll get instructions. But Brianna can also try to send out, there's a link for instructions. So Brianna will find it and send that out to you.
I actually have right here,
Oh, you have it.
screenshot.
Okay.
Yep.
Can
Someone just asked
say
me
what
this
it is
question
while we're
yesterday.
here?
Yeah, so what you'll want to do is you'll log in to your SFSU email, go to the settings, and then select mail, select forwarding, and then you'll click enable forwarding, and then you'll type in the email address that you want to mail forward it to. Let me see if I can.
Brianna, can you put the link into the type answer?
Yeah, let's see.
If you look under Q&A, you can type the answer. If you can put the link in there, that'd be great. So I'll keep moving down the list here. So we got to thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to have you here today, and I can't wait to see you. Right now we can't see most of you, but I can't wait to see you. I've been missing students. And so we've got a question about how will lab classes work since we can't actually do labs in a lab with all of the equipment? That's a great question. And so one of the really fortunate things about the CSU making the call really early to go to remote instruction this fall was we had a little bit of time to plan for it. And so in biology, we spent the summer doing this BioSlam project. It was the summer lab activity modification project. We engaged over 60 faculty, staff, and graduate teaching assistants in this project. And so the labs are really, we have 5 different types of activities that we'll be doing in the labs, but they're going to be very different than in-person labs. But the thing that we realized is that even doing them quite differently, we can still address our core competencies. And so our core competencies for the labs that we've set out as a department even before this happened were to understand and practice the process of science, to understand the connection between science and community, and to be able to apply quantitative reasoning to get to scientific answers. And so all of those core concepts will be emphasized, and they'll be remote, so it won't be the same equipment, but the thinking behind science and the way that you think about science and thinking about experiments and do experiments will still be completely emphasized. And I guess I'll say that, you know, I was a chemistry major and not a biology major, and then I went off to graduate school and as a biochemist, and I did nothing in graduate school that I'd ever done as an undergraduate in chemistry, but it was the thinking, the ability to think through an experiment and the controls and how you do it that was the super important part. And so I think you're going to like what we've done. I hope so, because we worked really, really hard on it this summer. Okay. So next one. How can we find a research lab to participate in? And if so, do you have any tips or advice? Chris or Madhu, you want to chew on that one?
Yeah. Oh, go for it.
No, please.
Oh, okay. Well, I could talk about a little bit how I found my lab. So I actually work in Laura's lab to do research, and how I found the lab, and initially it was I I was kind of just looking. SF State has a site where it kind of gives a little blurb of what research the faculty do. And I saw Laura's research on there. It looked really interesting. And I knew I took a class with Laura. So I knew she was a good professor. So I sent an email and she responded and it just kind of went on from there. So I suggest just looking up kind of what our research faculty do and whatever you find interesting, sending that faculty an email for sure.
Great, thank you, Madhu. Chris, do you have anything to add on to that as a faculty member perspective?
Sure. So I think that what Madhu described as the way to go about it is that you email people, and I think it's also good to go to people's office hours to ask them about participating in their lab. Because I think when you go to person's office hours, you get to know about each other a little bit better and get a sense of the individual style and things like that. So that's the other thing I would recommend. And the other thing I would probably say is that you shouldn't be too tied to a specific research question that you want to participate in. That, if you're interested in cancer, it's great if you can get into cancer lab, someone studying cancer or cell division or something like that. But it's really just most important, I think, to be involved in something you find interesting that may not be ultimately related to your final career goals, but something that gets you to the opportunity to answer questions and learn how to do research. Because I think that's the most important thing when you're working in a lab is how to ask and answer questions.
Great, thank you. So our next question is, how do you switch majors but stay in the biology department? I'm going to send that one to Brianna.
Yeah, so let me put here a link to get to a form. So you'll want to fill out a change of major form, and you'll also want to meet with a major advisor. So the major that you're trying to switch over to. We will have, it's in progress right now, but we have a page on our website that will have a list of all of our major advisors and their Zoom links. If you just click on their name, it'll take you to their Zoom room. So you'll want to get approval from your major advisor to switch your major, and you'll also want to provide them with your unofficial transcript. Most of you right now, since you're first-time freshmen, not necessary to provide your transcript since you don't have anything here. But later on, if you want to change your major later on, you'll want to provide an unofficial transcript. So let me drop in the answer here, the link to our change major form.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question is about where would a student go to find out about textbooks? And does anybody want to chew on that one?
Sure. So the textbook, if you go to the SFSU textbook store and look up your individual class, if the instructor has ordered books through the textbook store, then you can find a list of the required and optional texts. You can also email the instructor directly or look on your syllabus and for the course, and those will also have the list of required textbooks.
Yeah, and so the syllabus you can probably find at this point on the iLearn site. Okay, and so how do I access my SFSU email? Brianna, since you're the email gal.
So to initially access, I'm not sure how the university kind of gave you guys this information. It might have come from our ITS department, but if you are having trouble logging in, there is an ITS page, and it should give you information of how to log in for the first time, or if you're having trouble logging in. So let me get that page for you guys.
Yeah, see, isn't she great? Brianna's going to be able to help you get all sorts of answers to questions. So even if she doesn't have the answer right away, she's great at finding them and getting you pointed in the right direction. Next one, does San Francisco State have a med school advisor? If we're planning on attending med school, is there an advisor we should speak to that will show us the courses we need before getting here? We don't have a dedicated med school advisor, and that's part of the reason we're having this pre-health orientation on September 8th, I think. I can't remember, 7th or 8th, sorry. And then in the spring, actually, and so a lot of advisors will be able to help you through this, though, and I think a lot will know quite a bit. But you can look up on the web what the basic requirements are. And in the spring, we're going to be offering a new course called, I think it's called Health Science Professions. It'll be a science course instead of a biology course, but it'll be Sci 239 for students in pre-health majors who can come and explore the process of, you know, what do you need, how do you apply, and all of that. And so it'll be a course set up to support students who are interested in pre-health careers. How can we find resources for tutoring? I think that some of those were on a resource page that Brianna just sent out. Is that right? Did we send that one out?
I didn't have anything for tutoring.
Okay.
Does the Student Success Center do tutoring for
So
coaching?
there's two different places, or maybe Chris actually is going to give a better answer.
So the place to go is, they changed its name recently. It's called TASC, T-A-S-C. And let me pull it up. But I believe if you Google SFSU TASC, that should bring you to the tutoring website.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. I knew that it had changed names, so it's good to have that. Yeah, I can't find my cursor. Here's my cursor, it keeps disappearing. So next one, since everything is online, at least for now, is it recommended to accept all financial aid rewards, including the money that would normally go towards housing and transportation, or should we accept a smaller amount? That's a great question, and I would direct that towards financial aid. Because I'm not sure what the answer to that is.
I want to speak on that one a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
I used to work at the bursar's office, and so I just want to, so people know, if you're getting loans, just know that you have to pay that money back. So if you're getting these loans that are normally going towards housing and transportation, you might want to accept a smaller amount if you don't need it right now. But totally up to you. But just know, if you're getting a loan, even if it's from like the university, like a direct subsidized loan or unsubsidized loan, that does have to be paid back eventually. So just keep that in mind when you're accepting your awards.
Great, thank you. So the next question is, would biology advisors be able to help with creating a 4-year plan based on which classes are needed to be taken each year for graduation and grad school? Absolutely. And so you'll find in one of those links I gave you about on the resources sheet, in fact, I'll just back up to it so you can see it, that here the information about requirements for different biology majors. So under that link, there's a thing, you click into each major, and then each one, there'll be a 4-year plan that you can look at, and kind of, and parts of it are movable, and parts of it you have to kind of follow a prerequisite structure, but an advisor can definitely help you sort out that plan together. How do you switch from BA to BS? Brianna, I think that's the same as just changing a major.
Yeah, it will be the same as changing a major. So usually what this means, like if you're changing from general biology to one of the other concentrations, so it's that same change of major form, and that process you'll want to follow.
Okay. Let's see. So we got another one about changing majors. So maybe we'll send some more information out about that, since we have a lot of questions. I need some assistance with my schedule. Where can I go? I would definitely try to see an advisor today if you could, and if not today, then you know, as soon as you can next week. And so we've got a list of advisors that have Zoom office hours today, and we have a list of advisors going forward in the fall with Zoom office hours as well.
Laura, can I actually add on to that
Yeah.
too? Yeah,
Please.
so there's biology department has a site at the SFSU where you can see your major required classes. depending on the concentration. So you can also look at that side, that bulletin, and so does the SFSU GEs. So just to get a better sense of what classes you need, I definitely do suggest seeing an advisor though, if possible.
Okay, thanks, Madhu. Yes, the website's always a great place to go. And I will tell you that right now, the biology website's a little hard to navigate. But if you put in keywords like SFSU, biology, and X major, then you usually get, or in advising, then you get to a good place usually. And we're working on revamping the website. So we know that it's a little impenetrable right now. Let's see. So somebody volunteered. I think you get email through your gateway. Thank you for that. I haven't gotten emails from our professors. When should we begin emailing them? I would say right away. Today would be a great day to email professors if you haven't gotten emails yet. Also go in and look at the iLearn sites because there might be some information there. But today would be great. Okay, so will it affect me with books because I've not gotten my financial aid in the mail? Anybody want to chew on that?
I can't really answer questions about financial aid, but in terms of getting your books, I know you usually have at least like a week from like the first day when class starts to the next week, because your professor's pretty understanding that you don't have all your books the first day. So you have some time is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to have your books on the first day of class usually.
Thanks, Madhu. And so who can we contact in order to change a class time? My science class interferes with my math class. Chris?
I could also.
Oh, Madhu? Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry. So through the SFSU Gateway, you can just log in. Once you log in SFSU Gateway and you should see enroll on your left, you could choose whether to add or drop a class. If you could choose to drop a class if they interfere. Usually to my knowledge, you can't really change a class time as a student though. You probably have to drop one of the classes if they interfere.
Yeah, so it'd be dropping one class and then maybe adding a different section at a different time so that they don't interfere. That sounds like it's through SFSU Gateway. Is there a program at a SFSU that could prepare me for veterinary school? And so thank you for that. So our pre-health orientation and our pre-health, the class that I talked about in the spring will include veterinary school as part of that. And so it's just pre-health for animals instead of for humans. So those, we are thinking about you. Next one, if you're not enrolled in bio class, is there still a chance to enroll at this time? And are the classes only at 10 to 10:50? And so I'll say, yes, there's still a chance to enroll. I'm not sure which class you're specific. If it's Bio 230, it is only offered at 10 to 10:50, which is the introductory biology class. And that would be the main one that you're taking. Is there still a chance to enroll? Absolutely, but you'll need to email the instructors, letting them know that you're still hoping to enroll. Yeah, Chris, anything to add there?
I think the person you should email specifically would be Blake Riggs. He will be, I believe he's the lead instructor, or at least the coordinator for everybody this semester.
Actually, yeah. And so I'll put in actually a couple of emails here. So I'll put in his name as well as, whoops, I'll type it right. Riggs and Stephen Ingalls, who's the lab coordinator, because he often helps with the enrollment quite a bit. So
Yep.
Both of those people would be the right ones to reach out to. What subjects and courses do you think we should take in our first year? Chris or me?
I'm willing to give it a suggestion here. So I think for your first semester, it'd be good to take biology 230 if you can, but if you can't, that's fine. And then focus on some of your general education classes. you definitely want to be enrolled in the first semester of English. I believe it's English 114, if I'm not mistaken, for many people, but for others it'll be different. So that you can enroll in your Area E class, the second semester of English composition, and it's a first year experience class as well. So you can take that class in the next semester. And then in your second semester, it would be great to be able to take Biology 240, the second semester of introductory biology. And then that'll set you up really well for the rest of the biology classes. But the exact pathway you'll take through these classes depends to a certain extent on your placement in introductory mathematics classes and introductory English classes as well. So it's hard to give kind of a blanket answer for all of that.
Yeah, and so thanks, Chris. And so one thing I'd like to emphasize is sometimes in different places on campus, you might get the advice, people sometimes say, oh, take your GE and your university requirements and then do your major in the last 2 years. That would be an absolutely terrible idea.
I'd like to add, it would be a disastrous idea.
It would be a disaster. And I can't tell you, there's nothing more heartbreaking than having a student showing up after 2 or 3 years saying, okay, I finished all my university requirements. Now can I do my major in the last year? And it's like, no. And so it's really heartbreaking. And so it's super important, even if you don't take Bio 230 in your semester, that you take something for the major. It could be a math class, either pre-calc or calc. It could be chemistry, Chem 115 or Chem 100. Could be physics. That will be true for all biology majors that we need to get through those classes. So in general, we recommend somewhere between 6 and 9 units of majors classes each semester, and then filling out the rest with GE and university requirements. And I would also equally caution not to take 15 units of majors classes, because the majors classes usually tend to be a little more challenging than the GE and university ones. And so it's really nice to be able to kind of spread things out a little bit. Okay. So, but if you want to talk more about which courses would be best for you, then by all means meet with an advisor today or early next week while we still have the ability to kind of move things around a little bit. So next question, is there a specific deadline for changing majors? Nah, you know, just whenever you get there. And then the next one, are we supposed to have one advisor or more, like if I'm part of EOP?
Generally speaking, what will happen is that advisors in EOP will emphasize things such as the general education classes, and they'll often then refer you to a major advisor to kind of complement the information they're giving you.
And even the major advisor can change over time. Sometimes, you know, we list all the advisors available for a certain major, but sometimes you have class when their office hours are. So you can switch around, you know, and just go to whoever's convenient. But we have some great advisors who will be there ready to help you.
And I might also add that if there's an individual advisor who you really want to see, I'd recommend emailing her, emailing him, to see if you can find a time outside of their office hours to be able to meet. I think most of our faculty try to be as flexible as possible in meeting with students.
Yeah. All right, next one. What's the difference between a BA, which is Bachelor of Arts, and a BS, which is Bachelor of Science?
I can jump in on that one. So the main difference is, in terms of just the mechanics of the degrees, is the number of units. There's a greater number of units to meet the requirements for the BS degrees, usually around 67 to 70 units. For the BA degree, the number of units you have to complete is currently, I think it's 59. So that's one difference. The other big difference, though, is that the BA degree tends to be, in case of biology, is more general in terms of its subject matter. You take a sampling of classes from a variety of areas. So you'll be taking some cell biology, some ecology, some evolution classes. So you get a kind of a broader sense of biology. The BS degrees tend to be more focused. And so you don't necessarily have to take a cell biology class if you're in if you're doing the BA in ecology or the BS in ecology. But in reality, you should follow just whatever is really interesting to you. Sometimes you hear that, well, if you want to go to medical school or dental school or veterinary school or PT school, you need to be physiology. And that's absolutely not true. You can meet the requirements for, with a bit of planning, you can meet the requirements for any of the professional programs with any of our degrees. You just need to take a little bit of time to talk to an advisor and set up a roadmap for yourself. But I would really encourage you to, take the degree program that is most interesting to you, that really most appeals to you. Don't take the degree or enroll in a major that is not inherently interesting to you. You're going to be spending a lot of time studying and taking classes, and I would really encourage you to take the classes that you most enjoy. As a little of a side here, when I was an undergraduate, I ended up switching my major. I think it was 4 times before I finally settled on something that I really enjoyed. And so people, I don't encourage anyone to say to lock in with an unchanging mindset.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Next question, how do you crash a class if you weren't able to enroll and now the class is closed? So this is where you'll want to email the instructor and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'm really interested in taking your class. Is there any chance of still getting a seat in your class? And if so, what do I need to do? And hopefully they'll get back to you very quickly about some instructions about how to think about doing that. But do reach out to the instructor right away. Okay, we've got, are there any biology related internship opportunities available currently? Anybody want to take that, or should I?
I can address some of it, and then other people can chip in. So there's one service learning class that we currently have on the books, and it's taught by Dr. Leti Marquez Magana, and it's a class that's coordinated with UCSF. And what you do in this course is you are helping UCSF researchers on some research programs. And the course also really focuses on issues of equity and accessibility to healthcare.
And this is Bio 331, is that right, Chris?
Biology 331, that's right. And Biology 699 is independent study in biology, and that's covers a lot of the research opportunities that you can seek out for yourselves. But you can also do internships outside of campus as well. These are things that you're going to be largely looking for yourself, though. And so calling up people to see if they have opportunities to work either at their company or their lab or something like that. In past years, I've had, I think it's 2 or 3 students who have gotten internships at coroner's offices. And they've been assisting with autopsies and things like that. So there's kind of a wide open space here for something that you can create yourself.
And so I would emphasize that to get credit for internships, it's a Biology 694, that you'll need to find an on-campus sponsor. So Chris said he's done that for some students, but that sponsor and the person that you'll be working with on the off-campus side will have to kind of create an agreement about what you'll do and what the expectations are and that sort of thing. But a critical piece of it is finding a faculty member on campus who's willing to sponsor you for that.
Can I also add on to that a little bit? Yeah, so there are also programs at some state like Pink or Build or even SEO that could provide you with getting on their email list, or that could just provide you with opportunities that you could that could provide you opportunities that could lead to internships. So I suggest maybe looking into one of those programs if they seem interesting to you. I could I'll link that in the chat also.
Okay, great. Thank you, Madhu. And so Next one, can you double major with both of the majors being in biology? And the answer to that is, I'm sorry, no. And in fact, we only have 2 majors. One's a Bachelor's of Arts and one's a Bachelor of Science. The Bachelor of Science has 7 different concentrations, but you can't get a Bachelor's of Arts and a Bachelor of Science at the same time, nor can you have 2 different concentrations at the same time.
You could, if you want to get a Bachelor of Arts in, say, history and you know, a Bachelor of Science in biology.
Yeah, and a lot of people do biology chemistry doubles, but a lot of people, we have people doing, you know, Chinese language and biology and various things. So there's a lot of opportunities for double major, but just not both in biology. So one person says, I'm not taking a biology class this semester because I was strongly discouraged from taking it because I was told taking labs was really hard from home. I'm sorry that you heard that. So I've worked really hard to work on our labs. Would I be able to take it next semester? And so yeah, you can certainly make up time if you're not taking biology class now, but I would encourage you to make sure that you're taking something for the major now. So math, physics, chemistry, something for the major now, because otherwise that'll leave you with quite a few units to catch up. So that would be my best recommendation.
I'd also just like to add in here is that if you do kind of feel yourself falling a little bit behind in some courses, is that there's summer courses you can take too, and that'll help you catch up if you're feeling really pressured, and it will allow you to kind of maintain the graduation plan that you were counting on.
And yeah, and the other thing I want to say kind of straight up is that, you know, we're accustomed and programmed to think about college as being a 4-year program. I would say the majority of students at San Francisco State choose to take longer than 4 years. And they do that because maybe they're having to work a lot of hours on the side, and so they want to take fewer units so that they have time to work and support themselves. Or they have, you know, commitments, time commitments, taking care of family members and that sort of thing. And so there's no pressure to get through in 4 years if that's not what works best for you. And I think it's always good to be reminded of what your end goal is. If your end goal is a certain career, and we'll just say med school because it's one of the hardest ones to get into and it requires a certain GPA, then there's no reason not to slow down so you have the time to do really well in your classes, as opposed to speeding through and maybe doing a little more poorly because you were just overwhelmed. Because you had too many different responsibilities, too many things to juggle. And so when you're thinking about your course schedule, because I see that one of the next questions, is it okay to have only 1 or 2 major classes during my first semester? Absolutely. So I would anticipate most of the times it'd be 1 or 2 majors classes, usually about 2 by the end, but 1 or 2 is fine. But it could be okay to even have just 1 or 2 classes. Your pace is going to be up to you. And if you think about each class that you take, you have to imagine that you're spending hours outside of that class on schoolwork. And so for every hour in class, you should probably plan to spend about 3 hours outside of class. And when you add up the number of hours in a week, and then you start adding in your work hours and hours taking care of others and other things, make sure you have time to like go to the bathroom or that sort of thing. I have students who have so many hours that they can only, you know, if you really add up how much time it takes, that they end up with 1 hour at night they can sleep, they can't go to the bathroom, they don't have time to eat or do anything else. And so don't get yourself into those kinds of schedules, because then they just don't set you up for success. So make sure that whatever schedule you plan out really takes into account your life and all its complexities, and that it's a realistic estimate of what you can get done. Okay, so let's see. I don't have a minor, but want to minor in forensics. Who would I have to contact?
There's a forensic, it's offered through criminal justice, I believe. Mm-hmm. And let me pick up the, or let me find the link and I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay. And I would also offer up that we have a faculty member in biology, Rory Rolfs, who's a computational biologist who runs a genetics class about forensics. What's it called? Math Matters Forensics something. But she's a expert on the genetics of forensics, and so you might want to think about taking a class from her, or even reaching out to her about doing research in her lab. I'm not taking a science class on this semester. Am I still on track for a physio major? So like we said, we're really hoping that people will try to take 1 or 2 science classes a semester. If you're not taking one this semester, you might think about making it up next summer. You could still think about adding one this semester and dropping something else if you have the space in your schedule. But I would see an advisor today, if you can, or early next week, and see if maybe you can make some adjustments in your schedule. But you know, we'll try to get you home safely, but I think it's pretty important to start your major this semester if you can. Anything to add on top of that, Chris or Madhu or Brianna? Okay.
Yeah.
How is work/study going to work this semester? Do you mean work study? I'm not sure.
I believe that's what they're asking for.
Work study.
Yeah.
There are some. Go ahead, Madhu.
No, I was literally going to say, I don't think I can answer that. So.
Yeah, so biology, each department gets some money each year to hire work study students. And so, but usually the students that are identified as being available for work study go through financial aid. And so I would say that financial aid would be the place to learn more about work study options. But I think that departments will be hiring, that there is some work study money. And so that you should be able to go through financial aid to try to find a job that way. What's the best major to have to go to vet school? Chris?
I think it's the major that you enjoy the most is the best one, because it's a highly competitive field. Having said that, physiology would be the concentration that most people are going to be taking.
A lot choose zoology as well.
Yes, yep. But I would talk to an advisor, because the main thing is not necessarily your major or your concentration, but rather just making sure you work the prerequisite courses for admission to these programs into your course of study. And those prerequisite classes can be worked into almost any major. And so there's history majors and English majors who are taking the prerequisites for going to medical school while remaining English and history majors. So.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, our recommendations for veterinary school are going to be very similar to medical school. You know, the Nobel Prize winners like Hal Varmus, who used to run NIH, he was an English major. And so we're not trying to send you away from biology, but really choose the major you want to be in. The prereq courses, there's not that many, and you can get those prereq courses in any of the majors. And so, like Chris said, a veterinary major most closely overlaps with physiology, zoology, or even marine biology, but it could be any of our majors. How do I send a transcript from a community college? So I'm not sure to where and for what. If you're trying to get credit for those courses through SFSU, Brianna, does that go through the registrar if they're trying to transfer their courses in, or?
Usually if you're trying to send a transcript to SFSU, it will go through admissions. But it depends on what it's for. If I'm assuming since you're a freshman, probably the admissions office reached out to you saying that you needed to send an additional transcript over. But to actually send it, since everything is kind of remote right now, I would suggest going to your community college's website and seeing how they send transcripts over. Usually it's electronically, but sometimes they'll still send like a physical mail copy over, but they'll just ask you where you want to send it. And you usually just type in like San Francisco State, and then it gets sent over and sent to the appropriate office.
Yeah. And so I will mention that there's two processes for getting your courses transferred into San Francisco State. One is having your transcripts go through admissions and the registrar, and they will load up all sorts of stuff on your degree progress report. The second, and this won't be true for many of you if you haven't had any community college courses, but is to go through a biology advisor and do something called an equivalency form to show that that course, even though it's accepted into San Francisco State, will work as part of your biology major. So it's kind of a two-part thing. One is through the university, through admissions or the registrar, and the second one's through a biology advisor. Let's see, is there a specific biology class that you need to take based on what you want to become? If so, is there a link where you can see that information? And so there's when you go to this link right here, the content undergraduate programs, there'll be some information about our different concentrations and majors. And so I think that will give you a little bit of an idea about what each of the majors is about, and so you can choose the right one for you. Since pre-nursing is impacted, I chose general biology, but I want to go to nursing school. Will general biology get me there, or should I switch majors? I'll send that one to Chris.
You know, I think it's an excellent idea to be taking a biology degree rather than following the pre-nursing program. The reason why is that all the classes required for admission to a nursing program can be taken through either the BA or the BS degree programs. What I would do is look at the admission requirements to the nursing programs that you want to target for admission to, and then help build your electives within the BA around that. And so you'll need to take courses such as introductory biology, that's part of the BA. You'll need to take microbiology, physiology, and an anatomy class as well. And all of those are part of the either a BA or a BS degree.
Okay, thank you. And so is a BS in biology with a concentration better for med school, or a BA in biology?
I can transfer that. I can ask that one as well.
I thought you could.
As well. In reality, it really doesn't matter what your actual degree is in, because you need to think of applying for a veterinary school, medical school, dental school as a process of building a portfolio. And the specific major is really not as important as what you do as an undergraduate. You know, working in labs, volunteer experiences, things like that. And so I'm not really aware that anyone looks at whether you have a BA or a BS for admissions to medical school. You know, enroll in the program that interests you the most, and make sure you take the appropriate prerequisites. So that'd be my recommendation.
And so I will add that there's places that any of our degrees, you'll have to add a little bit on for some of these requirements. And so just as an example, pre-med students need to take a full year of organic chemistry. Some of our majors only have a semester, and the pre-health schools often require the labs to go with it, which our majors don't. And so there'll be a few places where you need to look, and you can look at a variety of places. There's a whole American Association of Medical Schools that will allow you to look up the basic prerequisites for medical school, so that you can look at that and go, oh, here's what the major requires, but for medical school, I'm going to need a little bit more, and you'll just have to add that in. But most of the concentrations are going to have the vast majority of the courses you need already embedded in the concentration. Next question, do students need to come to SFSU for lab classes? No, we are entirely remote this semester. So there will be no undergraduate classes held in biology this semester. in the physically in biology. So all of our labs will be offered remotely, which is sad because we love having labs in person, but it also kind of frees you up to live wherever you need to live as long as you have Wi-Fi. Next one, I'm a zoology major and currently not enrolled in an English class. I was wondering if I would still be on track if I take it later or if I should try to take it this semester. I'm gonna send that one back to Chris.
If you're a first-time freshman, I would definitely recommend trying to take English this semester. That way you'll be able to, just the way the English general education requirements are structured, it works most easily if you take it an English class the first semester. I would recommend speaking to one of the advisors in the COSI Student Success Center. They're an excellent resource for giving advice there, or even contact an advisor in the English department to determine exactly which English course you should be taking.
Thank you. And so, says if you take a biology class in the summer, is there an additional payment or is it covered by financial aid as well? Yes, there's certainly an additional payment for tuition, but I'm not sure what happens with financial aid. So you'd need to reach out to them. I think you could probably expand the size of the loan you're taking out, but you'd need to reach out to financial aid.
Yeah, I think there's a certain minimum number of units you need to take during the summer to qualify for financial aid during the summer.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure what the number
Yeah,
of
you have
units
to
is, though.
take at least six units. And when summer actually rolls around and you are enrolled, you have to report your units to financial aid. But once we get closer to summer, I'm sure financial aid will be sending out reminders to do that if you are a recipient.
So next question, do you know what's going to happen in spring semester? Will it also be online? We would love to know the answer to that. Right now, I would say the hints are pointing towards online, but there is no firm answer at all. If we can come back safely, we definitely will. If you listen to people like Anthony Fauci, he's saying that we're still in this for another year. So we're all scientists here, budding scientists. I would say listen to the scientists and know that the CSU will be following them very closely, but I don't know. Chris, does a BS in biology, or actually Madhu, does a BS in biology physiology take 3 or 4 years to be done with?
I was able to do it in 4 years, but it can be done in 3, depending on if you're willing to take on like a heavier class load. I don't really suggest it, honestly, but definitely just take the class loads you feel more comfortable with, for sure.
To do it in 3 would be an extremely heavy course load. You'd have to have no other responsibilities and be able to take that on. And then you might miss out on some of the other possibilities for extracurricular type things like getting involved in research or volunteering and that sort of thing. So my recommendation would be to do at least 4 years. Okay. So we have hit the end of our written questions, but thank you all for those questions. That was very robust. Very much appreciate all the great questions. I'll give people 1 more minute to kind of contemplate any last questions, but I think, you know, Brianna will send out these slides. There's links on them. Hopefully we're getting you pointed in the right direction. And it'd be super great if you could see an advisor today during our advising days or early next week, just to make sure that you're headed out on the right path, because we'd like to get everybody started on the right foot. So we'll just hang out for a few more seconds to see if there's any last questions. And if not, then we'll sign off. Okay. Oh, here we go. Is SFSU cutting cost on tuition this semester due to the pandemic and everything being online? No, they're not. And I realize that online is not the preferred choice, but what I can tell you is that 90% of the budget for SFSU is in personnel, And it takes the same number of personnel to run online courses as it does to run in-person courses. The places where there are savings is in lab fees, and so you will not be charged lab fees this semester because you won't be getting those specific supplies. So, nor will you be charged, I think, a gym fee and other types of fees for facilities you can't use. But the instructional fees really pay for the instructors, and those remain the same. Thank you for asking, though. When can we know more about the new spring class that you guys talked about earlier, the pre-health class? So it's called SCI for Science 239, and it will be available on the spring schedule. So, and we already know who the instructor is. I just don't know what time it's being offered, but I think it'll be a tremendous resource. The instructor is actually a podiatrist, a practicing podiatrist, and so he's got a lot of inside knowledge about how it all works. Here's one for you, Brianna. Do you know when we'll get our student IDs?
Yep, let me send a link on how you can get your ID. So student IDs are done through our One Card office. And let's see. There is a way to still get one. Obviously, you don't need your student ID physically right now, but it'll still be nice to have one. So I'll put the link in the answer box there.
Great, thank you. What's the difference between pre-med and pre-health? I think pre-health is kind of an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of different professions like physician's assistants and nursing and pharmacy and veterinary, and pre-med is specifically for medical school. So we tend to think of them more as a bundle of pre-health, even though they have some individual requirements. They're largely overlapping. And sometimes they get used kind of synonymously. Okay. Well, we still have 90 people online, which is fantastic. We usually hold these outdoor advising hours out on the sidewalk in front of Hensel Hall, which you're not there, you can't see it. But I think we had more traffic via the online version than the in-person version. So in that way, being virtual is a win. I'm really glad that we got to meet with you all and help answer some of your questions today. So your first task, if you choose to accept it, is
I think we got one more question.
Got one more? Okay. How can I know what the pre-med requirements are? And so we'll probably send something out about that. First, I would suggest first coming to our pre-health orientation. Brianna, you want to mention a little bit more about the pre-health orientation?
Yeah, so we'll be offering pre-health orientation on Tuesday. I think it's a Tuesday, September 8th. I believe it's 3 to 4:30.
I think it's 3:30 to 5. I can look on my calendar.
3:30 to 5. I'll send you guys out a little bit more information on this
3 to
along with 3 to 4:30. We'll have a few panelists on there that can definitely answer a lot of your questions. So we'll go over like requirements, different careers if you want to get into, kind of like the pathways for those. So yeah, just look out for communication from me about the pre-health orientation. Pre-health, pre-med, a lot of you are saying pre-med interchangeable. So yeah, that'll definitely be your best resource.
Sounds good. All right. So your first task is to go to this link. Actually, I've got a couple of links here. Where were they? How to find advisor, and to either see an advisor today or early next week. So go to these links. So One is Bio Advising Day, and one is Bio Fall 2020 Advising. But make sure you stop in and see advisors. Say, hey, I'm new to campus, and just tell them a little bit about yourself, get to know them, and tell them about your aspirations, what you are thinking about for a career. It might change 500 times between now and when you graduate, and that's fine. But tell them what you're thinking so that they can help you get set out on the right path and get connected to other interesting opportunities for you. All right, so I would focus on those. And welcome, welcome, welcome. And Brianna is always here to help, and her email is biology@sfsu.edu, so it's super easy to remember. And thanks to our panelists for coming and helping out today. So thank you, Brianna and Chris and Madhu. They're always super great to have all of these perspectives. So I can't wait to meet you guys virtually with images so I can see you, and then I really can't wait to meet you guys in person. And it's going to be so great when we land back on campus, and someday it will happen, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm super looking forward to it. So that's it. Does anybody else have any final thoughts?
Can I just add, I dropped into the chat a link to a list of recommended pre-health classes, if you wanted to click on that. And again, it's a recommended list. And so there's certainly some variations on that, but it gives you a sense of the requirements. Okay.
Thank you, Chris. All right. Well, this has been recorded, and so we'll also drop this onto the website. So thank you all, and goodbye and good luck.
So thank you. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you,
Good luck in
everyone.
biology.
All right. So I'm just realizing that I wasn't plugged in. I'm almost out of power. So we can stop recording. And